Discover the extraordinary fragrance Ariana Grande REM Cherry Eclipse. Delight in black cherry jubilee, sugared honeysuckle, marshmallow meringue, and glowing amber. Get the perfect fragrance. Ariana Grande's REM Cherry Eclipse, exclusively at Ulta Beauty.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
Welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. Radical Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani will be the next mayor of New York City on January 1st. So how concerned should residents be about his incendiary remarks and his very controversial policies? Well, joining us now to discuss this and so much more is the great Wayne Allyn Root, TV and radio host, and he's also a friend of President Trump. It is great to have you here, Wayne. Boy, oh boy, right?
And friend of Rita Cosby. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. And by the way, longtime friend, I adore you. And I can't think of a better person. You are an SOB, a son of a butcher. And I'll never forget it, my friend. But you always speak from the heart.
Even though I'm out in New York, I'm forever a New York mindset. That's what I live with, a New York mindset.
And that's why I know you care so much about New York. What troubles you the most about Mamdani?
Well, look, I'm not just a New Yorker. I'm a Jewish New Yorker, right? So obviously it's very frightening. I mean, I remember people talking about Hitler. And again, it's never good to compare anyone to Hitler. But it's worth mentioning that a lot of Jews stayed in Nazi Germany because they said it can't really be as bad as everyone says it is. And he won't be as bad as he says he's going to be. And he's not going to do those things. And they waited around too long. And the next thing you know, they're dead or they're enslaved in a concentration camp. Well, here's a guy who all these years later is saying awful things. And you can make some comparison to Hitler because what did Mamdani say? He believes in global intifada. What does global intifada mean? It means enslaving and murdering everybody in the world who doesn't believe in Islam. You either convert or you are enslaved or you're murdered. Now, will he go that far? I have no idea, but I know it doesn't sound good. I know it's a warning. When it comes out of a guy's mouth, you should listen. You should always assume the worst and prepare yourself for that. So I see it as very bad, and it's not just as a Jew and what he said about intifada. It's as a American and as a capitalist, what he says that sounds exactly like communism, not socialism, pure hardcore Marxist communism comes out of his mouth. And it's very frightening. This should not ever be allowed in the United States of America. I'm a free speech guy, but communism is the enemy of America and radical Islam is the enemy of America. And you just put a guy in charge of the financial capital of the world and the biggest city of America who believes in the antithesis of everything we believe in America.
Let's go to, you are a Jewish New Yorker, so you hear some of the comments that he has made. What troubles you the most? And are you surprised that he got elected in a city that has the biggest Jewish population outside of Israel?
Well, look, I predicted it. And, I was involved in that rally that you had online, right? You were involved in that, too, right? That rally.
I was not involved. But I know other people who were.
Yes. OK. I thought you were part of it, too. I thought you gave a speech, too. But my point is that everyone else gave a speech how terrible he'd be. And we got to defeat him. And I didn't give that speech. I gave a speech that basically said it's a foregone conclusion he's going to win. This is you guys are kidding yourself. He is absolutely, positively going to win. And I based it on the fact that when I was a kid growing up in New York, I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, on the Bronx borderline. And everybody I knew was either Jewish, Italian Catholic, Irish Catholic, or black. Everyone I knew. And they were all Americans, and no one was first generation. Their parents might have been first generation, but everyone I grew up with was second or third or fourth generation American, and everybody spoke English, and nobody talks about the old country or the old school or anything like that. Today's New York City is nothing like that. Today's New York City is not Jews and Catholics and Italians and Irish and black people. It is illegal aliens. It is first-generation foreigners, many of them broke into our country and don't even belong here. So they have an entirely different vision of things, an entirely different set of values, an entirely different set of beliefs and goals. And unfortunately, really sadly, Rita, it's quite ironic and it's maddening, but they come from countries that are third world crap holes. They ran away from those countries, and yet today they want to vote for the very people and the very policies that would make our country a third world crap hole, just like the place they raced away from. It makes no sense, just like the people who move from California or New York, and wherever they go, they vote blue. They vote Democrat when they get to Texas or Nevada or Florida, and you go, are you crazy? Why did you run for New York? Why would you want to create the same cesspool, same third world crap hole you ran away from? But they do in many cases. So it's really a sickness. I'm not sure what you'd call it, probably self-hatred, but they ran away from socialism and communism, and they come here, and the first thing they do is vote for socialism and communism. It's maddening, and it's disgusting, and it's disgraceful, and it's going to ruin our country, and I believe it's probably too late for New York. It's already ruined at this point.
It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.
You know, you look at also in the case of Zohran Mamdani, Wayne, that it was about, I think it was 85% of the people that had only been in New York City for less than 5 years. They voted for him. So the other issue is you don't feel an attachment to the city if you haven't lived there that long. I mean, there are a lot of good folks who maybe fit into that category. But you would also wonder if there are a lot of people who don't really feel the connection to the city or the devotion to the city just because they haven't been here that long. What does that say to you?
Well, don't forget the other half of that equation. I saw the poll. Not only did everyone who just got to the city vote for Mamdani, but everyone who's been in the city for a long period of time voted for Cuomo or for the guardian angel. Tell me the guardian angel's name. I forgot.
Yeah, right? Curtis Sliwa. Yep.
Curtis Sliwa. There we go. I know Curtis. I don't know why that name dropped out of my head. Probably because as I record this, I just did my own 2-hour podcast, and my brain's about to explode. I'm exhausted. But Curtis Sliwa, they all voted for either Cuomo or Sliwa. So pretty much just as I said, if you're a New Yorker, you've been there your whole life, if you're white, if you're black, if you're Jewish, if you're Catholic, you voted for Cuomo or Sliwa. But if you are a foreigner, you voted for Mamdani because I guess it felt like home. You ran away from communism. He feels like home. He's a communist. So it's very disconcerting that people would choose to vote that way, and it's kind of exactly what I said. America is changing, and New York is really at the progressive tip of the spear for those changes, which is you open the borders, you bring in millions of people who don't act or think like Americans, and then you're surprised when they vote in a different way than an American would have voted. And that's exactly what's happening. Now, listen. It's funny because now it's going to just accelerate, Rita, what you can see has been happening for years. I've always had a crystal ball. I'm very good at predicting things, but nothing I predict necessarily happens tomorrow. Sometimes my predictions take 20 years to come true. And back in 2005, I wrote a book called Millionaire Republican. And in that book, I said, if you want to be a millionaire, if you want to be successful, if you want to be prosperous, if you love your family, you're probably going to need to get away from blue states like New York, California, and Illinois, and you're probably going to need to move to places like Florida, Texas, and Nevada. And look what's happened over the last 20 years. The fact is, in just the last 10 years, New York has lost the most income of any state in the United States. They lost, I have it right in front of me, $517.5 billion in resident income from 2013 to 2022, the last year where we have any stats. All those people that left took all their high income with them. And who is left behind? All the people that are on welfare and food stamps and all the illegal aliens who need 1,000 different government programs. Same thing in California, same thing in Illinois. Everything I predicted 20 years ago has come true. So all I'm trying to say to you is, without Mamdani, all the money and all the high-income people have been leaving New York. It's been a brain drain. Can you imagine what's going to happen now that you've got a communist radical Muslim running the city of New York? Everyone's going to leave, and you're going to find out what happens when the brilliant people go who make all the money, who create all the jobs, who believe in culture. When they leave a city and a city is left behind with nothing but people who need welfare and food stamps and disability and 1,000 other government programs and illegal aliens and felons, good luck to that city. And that's what you're facing in New York.
And it's also scary, too. You left out the fact, and Wayne, you always have been such a good prognosticator. But I look at also, what about NYPD? We are going to see such a mass exodus.
Of course.
Right. What does it mean to community safety, to individual safety under a mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani?
Yeah, it's funny, Rita, because all these years, I always fight for what I believe in. What I believe in and what I understand, what I know, because it's who I am, is I'm a white Jewish kid from New York. So I fight for small business owners. My dad was I'm a son of a butcher. My dad was a small business owner. He owned a little butcher store. My grandfather owned a little butcher store. I can't speak for everybody. I speak for white people. I speak for Jews. I speak for small business owners because that's what I understand. So when I hear progressive Democrat, socialist politicians talk about as if the whole world is racist, the whole world hates black people, the whole world hates Hispanics, the whole world hates foreigners, the whole world hates people on welfare, but they never mention, is it just as bad to hate the people on the other side? In other words, if it was so terrible, if racism is so bad, which it was, and I admit that, everyone admits it, we had slavery in our country, it was a terrible thing in America, lots of racists years ago. But today, the racism I see is against white, straight males. It's against Jews. It's against wealthy, successful people who earn their money and own a business. If you hate them, you are just as racist and biased as 100 years ago when people hated you because you were black or because you were brown or because you were poor. Why is it different to hate a cop or hate a small business owner? It doesn't make sense to me. You're being as bad as the people you claim made America so terrible. You're doing reverse racism, and that's what I see with a Mamdani. You can't expect people to stay in your city when you say terrible things about them and you tell them we're going to make life miserable for you. We're going to raise your taxes because you live in a whiter neighborhood, and we're going to help you if you live in a blacker neighborhood. Well, then if you're white, you got to get the hell out. So I just don't get why it's okay to be racist against white straight males or against Jews. Why is that acceptable when in the old days, obviously, it was bad to be racist against someone who was black or brown? It's the same thing, but you're hurling racism at a different group.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And by the way, on the campaign, he frequently said, it's Islamophobic. If you criticized him, it had nothing to do with, his background being Muslim. There are a lot of wonderful Muslims out there. It had to do with his own statements. Yeah,
I'm going to write a column, and it's going to be titled, If Obama Had a Son, It Would Be Mamdani.
That's a great one.
The point of that is it's like America shocked everyone when they elected a guy named Barack Hussein Obama, who was clearly a socialist and clearly not born. I never said anything about where he was born, but he was raised in a foreign country. He was raised in Indonesia. His mom married an Indonesian. He went to a Muslim country called Indonesia, and Obama was raised there. So America elected a guy who was very, very different. But in order to get elected, Obama had to hide all of that. So he didn't play up that he was black. He didn't play up that he was prejudice against any group of people. He made sure that he seemed like he belonged to everyone. And but in my opinion, he was racist against whites and against Jews. He was raised in a Muslim country, and he did have prejudices. Well, here's the next generation down, and Mamdani comes along, and he doesn't even bother to hide his racism against Jews or whites. He openly says it. So he's the new generation, a new version of Obama that's even a step worse than Obama was, because at least Obama hid it. He knew that you can't actually say these things out loud. This guy says them out loud. He is a racist, and he does hate people because they're rich or because they're successful or because they're educated or because they're white or because they're Jewish, and that's wrong in America. That's all I can say.
How concerned are you about some of Mamdani's associates and comrades and people that he seems to be able to hang out with? I look at Wayne, for example, there are people tied to CARE. There's a Hassan Piker who said in the past, even though he said it was a mistake, but he said in the past, America deserved 9/11. How concerned are you about some of these people hanging out with Mamdani, and what does that say about him?
Well, I always said that the problem with Obama was the people that he hung out with, right? Remember Reverend Jeremiah Wright? He was saying, goddamn America. He was saying Jewish people are terrible. I always said that Obama is exactly like Mamdani, but he hid it so well. And he's had a great smile, and he acted like he was everybody's friend, and he had no racism and no prejudice and didn't hate anybody. But deep down, he was just like Mamdani. Now you got a guy who has the same kind of associates, same kind of friends, except he isn't hiding his hatred for those groups. I mean, look at what the Democrat Socialists of America basically they sent in a sheet to Mamdani after the election and said, you better follow these programs. We got you elected. And every single thing they said was involving hatred for Jews in Israel. Everything was about cutting off funding for Israel. Everything was about making sure none of the city's funds are used to ever pay for anything that would ever help Israel, be involved with Israel, help the Israeli military. Everything was about Jews in Israel. So, I mean, there is a real hatred and a prejudice towards Jews. And all I could say is, say what you want about Jews. I've always criticized my own people for being too liberal, right? Jews vote Democrat. So I can't stand their politics. But one thing I've always praised Jews for is they really are the most successful, hardworking people you're ever going to find. And the result is they're the lawyers, they're the doctors, they're the accountants, they're the investment bankers, and they're the business owners. They're the mortgage brokers, they're the real estate brokers, they're the stock brokers. So if you lose that group, what's left in your city when they all leave? They're taking their money, they're taking their jobs, they're taking their homes. They all buy homes, they own their own homes. When those people leave, when there's a mass exodus like there was of Jews leaving Egypt, and that's what's about to happen in New York, in my opinion, when that happens, what is going to pay the taxes in your city anymore? And the answer is New York City is going to be in a lot of trouble because the people who can pay the taxes are leaving, and the people who need, who don't pay into the system but take out and who need welfare and food stamps and need government help are the ones left behind, and the ones coming in, because I believe illegal aliens from all over America are now going to head for New York because it's the one safe zone for them. Mamdani says he will protect them. Well, they're all going to come there. When that happens, you're going to be like living in Escape from New York, the movie.
And with the cops fleeing, let's not forget about that, because the cops have seen his defund the police, has opened up the jails. What does that do to Escape to New York?
Well, it's funny.
Or from New York.
DeSantis is a very smart governor. I didn't support it for president. Trump's my guy. But DeSantis is a great governor, one of the best governors ever in America, in my opinion. He's done all the right things. And that's why Florida is the most successful state. That's why it isn't even Texas. The most money has gone to Florida. The most population has gone to Florida. Florida is the biggest winner in America. And everything is good there. And all the people during COVID, all my friends in New York were like, oh, my God, everything's shut down. Oh, my God, I can't do anything. I can't even go to the grocery store. And there's no restaurants open. We have to eat in the cold if the restaurants finally open, eat outside. In Florida, you had none of that. Everybody survived. People weren't dying of COVID, because they ate in a restaurant. It's the most ridiculous overreaction and over-exaggeration in world history. So DeSantis did it right, and to this day he's doing it right, because I see in Florida they keep offering, if you're a cop in New York or in any blue state, come to Florida and we'll give you a gigantic bonus that'll make up for the fact that you've lost a few years of your pension. So Florida's doing it right, and all the cops are going to go to Florida, or they're going to go to Texas, or they're going to go to my state. They're going to go to Las Vegas, Nevada, which is booming. Vegas is booming, Rita, because the whole California, and a few New Yorkers too, I meet them too, but mostly the whole state of California is looking to get out, and they're all moving to Nevada. So while prices are dropping in homes around the country, all my friends are doing great in Nevada. Prices are skyrocketing. We've had more sales of $100 million and $30 million and $50 million homes than you have ever seen. The whole wealthy America is moving to places like Las Vegas and, of course, Scottsdale in Arizona, and, of course, Texas, and, of course, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Park City, Utah. Those are the places where everyone is running away from New York, California, and Illinois, and they're all going to deep red states with zero income tax or low income tax and no crime, very little crime. Las Vegas, compared to New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco, is actually a paradise, especially if you live where I live in Summerlin, which is like the Scottsdale of Las Vegas. It's beautiful, and everyone lives in gated communities, and there's really nobody can even get into your gates. So there's no crime. Your house isn't getting broken into. It's nothing like California. I can't say about New York, but I have a ton of friends in Los Angeles, and they're all moving here, and they all say they can't even go to dinner without driving like a jalopy because they're afraid to drive their nice cars because they'll be followed home and either carjacked or home invaded. And in Las Vegas, none of that happens. We go out to dinner every night. Nobody follows you home. There's nobody waiting at the valet to go and rob your home. Nothing like that happens here. You know why? Because we all carry guns. That's it. That's the answer. We all carry guns in Las Vegas. You can't rob me. If I pull in the garage and you walk up to me, I'm looking in my rearview mirror, my gun's in my hand, I'm going to shoot you dead. You're not going to get away with it. But in New York, they won't let you carry guns. So you are, and in Los Angeles, so you're just a sitting duck to criminals. The answer for women, said this the other day, I was watching a movie, and a woman was on a bus, and it was a crime show, and she went out and got raped and murdered by this terrible person on the bus who was a serial murderer. And I said, if she had a gun, it would have been a completely different scenario. Women voting blue makes no sense because you're voting against your own self-interest. Every woman would never again have to be afraid of male criminals if you carry a gun with you. And if you have a gun in your house and a gun in your car, you are equalized with men who are bigger than you and more violent than you. And that's what women need to understand. Stop voting Democrat. You're voting for your own demise.
Yeah, there are so many things, and especially, sadly, just like you said, a lot of people are fearing more crime, less police, and so many of these other issues that we just talked about under Zohran Mamdani.
Hey, Rita,
Wayne,
you don't have to fear it. It's coming. Believe.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thanks.
Coming, believe me.
Sadly, you're going to be right again, Wayne. Sadly.
It's coming. I mean, you can see it. It's just like, when someone says something, believe them. Don't assume that they're just saying it to get elected. Believe them. And Mamdani has said some of the craziest, most radical things, most un-American things I've ever heard in my life. This guy is bad news, and I'm telling you, bad things are coming to New York. Get out while you can. That's my only advice.
Wow. A dire warning, no doubt. I think a lot of people are hearing you loud and clear. Well, listen, everybody, be sure to subscribe and share to this podcast. Wayne Allyn Root, I love you, my friend, and I love how much you care about America and care about New York. Thank you so much.
Yes, my website, by the way, to find out everything I do and say, it's all at root4america.com, R-O-O-T, root4america.com. Rita, love you, and I hope you're safe. Stay safe.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.